In Italy, when government ministers travel, their whereabouts and their flights are, per decree, usually made public on a government website. But now sources say that information could soon be made secret. It comes after an airplane carrying European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen was jammed while en route to Bulgaria on Sunday, forcing the pilot to land using paper maps. Bulgarian authorities say they suspect Russian interference, which Moscow has denied. But in recent months, interference with satellite navigation has become increasingly frequent in the airspace near Russia. Von der Leyen has yet to comment on the incident, but at a news conference earlier today, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte said the alliance is taking precautions against jamming.
It is taken very seriously, and thank you for the question. And this is exactly why NATO is stepping up when it comes to hybrid, cyber, etc. And we have agreed on policies there to really be more effective in this area. I always hated the word hybrid because it sounds so cuddly, but hybrid is exactly this, jamming commercial airplanes with potentially disastrous effects.
Joining me now is Dana Goward. He's president of the Resilient Navigation and Timing Foundation and a leading voice in GPS security and infrastructure resilience. Dana, it's good to have you on the program. We just heard NATO's Secretary General call GPS jamming a hybrid threat with potentially disastrous effects. Is it possible to bring down a plane by jamming its GPS?
Well, it may not be possible to directly bring down the plane by jamming GPS, but we've seen a lot of very serious safety impacts as a result of this kind of activity. It's a hazard to aviation and navigation generally because it confuses pilots, gives them bad information, and they can't trust their instruments. We've also seen multiple instances of false terrain warnings, and where the aircraft has been warning that it's about to impact the terrain, but it's been high and above the terrain and very, very safe. We've also seen one instance where an aircraft was not warned and the passenger airplane nearly flew into a mountain. So in addition, on Christmas Day, because of the Russians' inability to identify a commercial passenger aircraft because of GPS jamming, they fired on it, and the Azerbaijani airplane crash landed and 38 people died. So yes, in summary, this is a really serious threat to aviation and should be taken very, very seriously.
The Guardian is reporting that the Associated Press has plotted almost 80 incidents on a map tracking a campaign of disruption across Europe blamed on Russia. The head of Britain's Foreign Intelligence Service has described it as staggeringly reckless. How prepared do you think Europe and NATO countries are to defend themselves against this type of interference?
Well, first of all, 80 is a staggeringly small number. We've seen thousands of these kinds of incidents over the last 3 years. And the International Civil Aviation Organization is incredibly concerned, especially in Northern Europe and in the Middle East and the vicinity of Ukraine. So as far as how well prepared NATO is, I can't comment because I'm sure they have access to a lot of classified capability. But in terms of civilians and civilian infrastructure in the West, I don't know that we're very prepared at all. There are some things that can be done to improve receivers and combat to a certain degree what we call jamming and spoofing, this kind of interference. But at the same time, what's really needed is an alternative form of accessing the positioning, navigation, and timing signals provided by satellite navigation systems like GPS and Galileo. And that really hasn't come to pass. The British and the French are working on reestablishing the LORAN network in Northern Europe, enhancing it to make it e-LORAN and making it more capable, but that is going to be several years off. So until then, I think most folks are just going to have to try to get by and be as careful as they can with all this persistent jamming going on.
What do you make of Italy now considering hiding the flight paths of its top state officials? Is that a move in the right direction?
Well, you can't argue too much against increasing security for state officials. However, the incident with the president of the European Union was very much a part of a pattern that's been going on for a long time, and I'm sure that she was not targeted. So in terms of preventing that kind of interference and that kind of problem with aviation, I don't think that that particular move is going to have much of an impact.
Okay. Dana Goward, president of the Resilient Navigation and Timing Foundation. Dana, we appreciate your time and your insights tonight. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.